So can we start to see the reversal of Chinese tech stocks that are listed in the Hong Kong exchange? And as you all know, right, since like 2 or 3 years back, even before this whole rate hikes issue, we have seen many of those tech stocks in the Chinese market listed in the Hong Kong exchange like Alibaba, Tencent, sold off by more than 50-60%, right, due to the government regulatory crackdown. So many of these stocks have sold off until about last year, and we started to see a little bit of strength coming back, some bargain hunting, and it seems like all of them have started to bottom out. So what is the outlook in 2023, or maybe even head into 2024, right? Are we starting to see some signs of a reversal? Hey guys, Joey here, top tier Miser trader in Philips Securities, and in this video, we'll be pretty much talking about two heavyweight Chinese tech stock listed in the Hong Kong exchange, right? And that would be Alibaba and Tencent, right? These two stocks, Alibaba and Tencent, these are some of the most popular stocks that I get asked quite often on, and many people are holding on to it or looking to get in on dips to ride the recovery and all that. So I thought, why not let's do a video on these two stocks to see where we are right now, if there are any signs of the uptrend coming back, and should we kind of like think about positioning ourselves to ride more upside. So let's dive into Alibaba right now. Okay, so the first one will be Alibaba Group, trading at about $92 right now. So before we dive into where we are currently, let's take a look at over the past 2-3 years, how far have we sold off, right? So this was somewhere in 2020, you can see we kind of hit a high of about $300 Hong Kong dollars, and we kind of like sold off. The trend started to turn down. You can see right over here in terms of the moving averages, right? The 100 days moving average have crossed down below the 200 days moving average blue line. So both of these lines were pointing down. So somewhere end of 2020, after this whole end IPO got shelved in terms of the IPO, all right, we started to see weakness, and due to the government regulatory crackdown on many of those tech stocks, they were deemed too big to fail. All right, so Alibaba was one of them that sold off quite heavily from like 300 to 280, 250, 200. All the way down to somewhere around last year, and we started to see a little bit of stability coming back, right? So what is that support level that's came out over the past few months? Well, that level is none other than the $80 right here. You can see that somewhere in May last year, we kind of touched about 2-3 times, we bounded up, and somewhere around here in September, you can see we actually attempted to break it, and yes, we did break the 80, went all the way down towards the $60, trade up, trade down, trade up, trade down, and you can see we managed to come back above this $80, right? And it started to move all the way up to that $120, okay? And you can see we sold all the way back down again to that $80, so back to this $80 support, right? 80, right? So this support level I think would be really key, all right, if we want to see the upside reversal start to happen. It seems like this 80 seems to be holding because we sold off just last month, and same thing, we managed to see a rebound from it. It's now like $92. So what would be that near-term resistance level or that consolidation range that we're seeing right now? I think it's quite clearly at that 100. So let me just go to draw another line right here. That would be the 100 psychological resistance level. You can see 100 would be this psychological resistance level whereby we saw a couple of profit taking, came back down, even right here last year as well. When we broke the 100, we traded below it for a while. Even here, right, we broke 100, we sold all the way down to 80. So that is the range right now. I would say that the range is from like 80 to about 100 Hong Kong dollars. It's about a $20 range, right? So as long as it stays above that $80, there are some signs of the trend starting to turn up. Why do I say that? Well, very simple. Look at this right here in terms of the moving averages. So I mentioned that it has been in a downtrend since like end of 2020, when the 100 days moving average kind of broke down below the blue line, the 200 days moving average, and both of these lines were pointing down. It broke certain support like the 200, the 150, and it just started to push lower and lower. There was no end in sight, right? But right now you can see that after some consolidation since last year, all right, the moving averages, the 100 days moving average, the red line and the blue line, have started to flatten out. So it's like down, and you can see over the past few months, this red and blue line have started to flatten out. And in fact, over the past 1 to 2 weeks, you can see right over here, let me just remove this for you. You can see that the 100 days moving average, the red line right here, you can see that the 100 days moving average red line has managed to cross back up above that blue line. So that's a sign of a potential trend change towards the upwards direction finally. Of course, we still need a bit more confirmation, but based on just looking at the moving averages, and as long as we stay above that $80 as I mentioned, there are indeed signs of the trend turning up. But what would be that confirmation be? Well, we want to break this 100 level. This 100 level would be key, right? If we break the 100 level, you can see we are still seeing selling over the past 2 weeks here. Attempted to break, but it came back down. So 100 seems like a really strong psychological level as well. And if we do break the 100, great. That is where potential upside can happen. All right, all the way up to that 120. All right, 120 would be the next level to watch. You can see right here, came down, we touched, we came down, and also somewhere in January at the beginning of 2023 we hit it there, and we sold off all the way from 120 all the way down to 80. All right, so now we are somewhere here, all right, about 92. So hopefully we can trade up again, rebound back towards 100, attempt to break it, stay above it. Great. If that happens and we break the 100, potential targets can be revised or reiterated up to 120, and that's where the uptrend can potentially start to firm up even stronger. What about any patterns that can point towards a potential reversal in the mid to long term? Well, I did see kind of like a pattern, so let me just go ahead to point out for you right here. All right, let me just remove all these lines, and I will show it to you. What is this pattern that has seems to have formed over the past 1 year? Okay, so this is the pattern which I think have formed, right? And this is what we call an inverse head and shoulder pattern. So what is an inverse head and shoulder pattern? Well, basically we get the lowest point, which is called the head. So this is pretty much the bottom, right? That was in November at about $60. We touched this, we started to see a bit of a rebound. All right, and then we have two shoulders, one on the left and one on the right. So it seems like we have this left shoulder right here, all right, which is at about the $80 mark, the support. And we got a right shoulder right over here as well, right? So this is what we call an inverse head and shoulder pattern with a neckline resistance. So what is that neckline resistance? Whereby, if we go above that level, then this inverse head and shoulder pattern can complete, and that's where we can really start to see that reversal happen. Well, that level is that $120. You can see that's the level that I mentioned just now. We touched, came down, came down, came down. So if we can really, right, go above that 120, I would say in the next 1 to 2 months or next 3 months as well, I think this inverse head and shoulder pattern can really start to play out, all right, in terms of the moving averages. They will all start to point up as well, as I mentioned, in terms of the red and blue line, and the uptrend can really start to form out. So these two things that we want to look out for to see if a potential reversal is indeed on track. All right, so this is Alibaba here. I hope I've given you a bit of analysis of where we are right now and what we want to look out for in the coming months. So let's move on to the next company, and that would be Tencent, right? Stock code is 700.HK, right? One of those really popular Chinese tech stock listed in the Hong Kong exchange as well. Something like Alibaba, right? So let's see where we are right now, and same thing, are there any signs of like a potential reversal just starting to play out? All right, so this is Tencent at about $357. So same thing, I feel that there could be a potential bottom that's formed, right, since last year November, and then of course the government came out and said that well, in terms of the crackdown, it's more or less over. The government is easing some of the more restrictive measures, and many of those tech stocks started to rebound back up. So there was somewhere around November, December, started to see a really good push all the way up to that $400 level, which is the resistance level. I'm going to share if you look at this, right? This was where we touched like somewhere in January, Feb. Again, last month we touched, we came back down, and you can see this $400 was pretty much the support level we have been holding since 2021 until we broke down. So this 400 support is turned to what we call a resistance level, and as long as you stay below it, I think that's still the near-term cap. But if we can break that 400, so let me just go to draw some upside targets for you. I think right now we are seeing a little bit of support right over here around that $320, right? Why 320? You can see, right, 320 was this support. You can see we broke down, it became the resistance right here, and right over here when we broke up, you can see started to push all the way up, and we sold off to near 320 again, and buyers started to come back up. So 320 to 330, I think that's potentially where some bargain hunting can come back again, and we do stay above these levels. the uptrend can slowly start to form up as well. All right, and looking at the moving averages, right, same thing, right? It was in the downtrend since like 2021 beginning. All right, the tech stocks all sort of downtrend. We sold off from like 600 to 500, all the way down. And just by looking at the moving averages, which was pointing down, somewhere over the past 1 to 2 months. Look at this right here. All right, you can see that the 100 days moving average, something like Alibaba as well, the 100 days moving average have finally crossed back up above the blue line, the 200 days moving average. So that's a sign of the strength. That's a sign of the trend potentially starting to turn up, as long as we hold above the new higher support level like the 320 to 330. I think this stock looks good, right, for a potential break of that 400, right? 400, as I say, that is still key, right? We definitely want to break that 400 to maybe head towards that I would say 480, right? Around the 480. So 400 all the way up to like 480. That could be the next upside if the 400 gives way, right? Look at this level. This level is a pretty key resistance level as it consolidates here in 2021 up and down. So that level right here, about the 480, that would become like the near-term resistance after 400 gives way. All right, so this is Tencent, definitely looking good. As long as the support holds, I think we could potentially see it an upside reversal still starting to play out, but we still need more confirmation. So I hope that I've given you a bit of a levels, right, what to take note of and what are some of the new levels that you want to focus on. All right, guys, so there we have it. I've covered these two stocks, Alibaba and also Tencent, two of the pretty much more popular Chinese tech stocks listed in the Hong Kong exchange, which I get asked quite often on. So I hope you kind of like understand the key levels, some of the resistance levels that we definitely want to break, all right, to really see the uptrend start to form up. If that happens, great. I think we can potentially start to see more upside, and that's where you can also potentially think about entering on dips or maybe, ride the full potential of the reversal. Alright, so Joey here. I hope you like this video and you like these two stocks as well, and it's given you a good understanding of what to do. So if you want to get some ideas by WhatsApp, I'm not too sure whether you're a client of mine in Philip Securities, but we do share some of those ideas by WhatsApp, some of those Singapore trade ideas. And if you want to get them much faster by WhatsApp, make sure you click on the link around this video to find out more on how you can come on board as a client of mine in Philip Securities at no additional cost or charge whatsoever. That's where you get some of my ideas much faster, especially for you if you are kind of like trading online and your broker does not really exist, never send you any ideas or video or training or WhatsApp, nothing. You don't even know who is he, or it's like hotline and all that. Make sure you come on board, and that's where you get some ideas much faster. So Joey here, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to see you in the next video. Take care.